So you're getting 1,200 times the amount of calories with the poison in it and the food, the salt, oil, and sugar. You got to realize sugar is a processed food. Oil is too. They're condensed, right? That's called processed. If you want to eat sugar, the fruit, have it in the fruit and the fiber. It's so healthy. All of those sayings they had for years. And the way we know it is, the food is thy medicine. Medicine is thy food. Hypocrisy said that, right? Those things are really true. And, how about Popeye with the spinach or an apple a day? Look, it is true. And you don't have to, people say, let's do research. No, go on the internet and look at the parts of the world where they eat certain foods and you'll see how healthy they are. And you'll see in our country, people are getting, type 2 diabetes used to be called maturity onset diabetes. And why is that? Because only adults got it who are mature. But that's not true anymore. Young people are getting it. And when you change, people have, in my life, okay, I'll speak about me for a minute. I had a whole bunch of these devastating things, the heart or the blood pressure, and all of these things, cholesterol, and I was on medications for them all. But guess what? By eating healthy, losing the weight, eating healthy, it's all gone away. I don't take any medications now, nothing. Because, and I was on quite a few. The blood pressure I was on 2, the type 2 diabetes, I was on 2 medications. It all had to do with the weight and the type of food choices I was having. But you know what? I don't have to be miserable anymore. When I sit down and eat, I love something plain like rice and beans. I don't need to put a whole bunch of sauce on it because I've changed my thinking. In this country, you got to realize years and years ago, they ate like food was one ingredient. They didn't have all of this crazy food in other parts of the world. But here, again, through the corporations and believing the big lie. Again, these steps let us know the truth from the false. It says that in here, knowing the truth from the false. The food that we eat now is false. It's synthetic. It's not where happy, joyous, and freedom lie. And we're using it as another way to, as a solution to our problem. So just like when I drank alcohol, that was a solution. That was my best friend. Is your food your best friend? Then you're lying to yourself. That's not the key. That's not the answer. But by trying to control it, look, if you go somewhere to a meeting and you say, look, my problem is the food. I'm going to eat this, or my problem is my mother-in-law. My problem is this. You're making the problem more real. The answer is there's no problem. We had the selfishness, self-centeredness, and illusions in our mind that all of these things are problems. When we look at things differently, when we have that design for living perception change, that spiritual transformation, it directly relates to the food and all of our addictions in our life. Let me just say, there was something else I wanted to read here on we're going to go back to page 24. And this is I always say, this chapter is called There is a Solution. So here, but actually it starts on page 24 talking about the problem. So it's telling us we have this problem here. It's saying the fact is that most alcoholics, and I've put in compulsive overeaters and other people with other compulsions in life, some people restrict food, whatever the compulsion is, for bulimia, anorexia, whatever it is, obsessions, yet obscured, have lost the power and choice of drink or food. So what does step 1 say? But I also put in the control people. Step 1 says we lost the power. We don't have the power. And I said, in the doctor's opinion, we agnostics, we are unable at certain times to bring into our consciousness with sufficient force the memory of suffering, humiliation. Even a week or a month ago, we were without defense against the first drink. So here people come into these meetings with the food, get all these illnesses with the drinking, get the DWIs, all of these problems in their life are related, but yet they can't bring it to their mind. You can't, because you're using the self-will. You're trying to figure, well, I'm going to control it. I know next time. So page 25 is going to give us the answer to spiritual transformation. So like I said, again, and I always say this, it is really, really true. You could have it right here, right now, like Bill had it in Bill's story and Ebby. They had that momentary glimpse where it wasn't about them. It's all a very simple program, very simple, but we, way we were brought up to everything is, figuring out and intelligence and all of this stuff. We couldn't, if money, success, material things. It's a spiritual program. Again, when I say these steps, billions of people in this world believe in religious and spiritual programs. There's a reason why, and it really, really does work. So he says, when in the page 25, in the middle of the first paragraph, again, we got to remember the name of the chapter is called There is a Solution. So remember that, there is a solution. When therefore we are approached by those in whom the problem had been solved, It says about 5 times in his book, the problem had been solved. The problem has been solved. I mean, I'm going to say it again because you might be intellectualizing this whole thing I'm reading here. It's saying point blank, the problem has been solved. There was nothing left for us to do but pick up the simple kit of spiritual tools laid at our feet. We have found much of heaven. Heaven, right? The word going home, you ever hear that expression of being at home or being in heaven? Our intellect and our ego is keeping us miserable, depressed, and anxious. People wake up in fear. It's your delusions, illusion of the mind. It's really not true. It's something that you can observe when it comes in, but it's false because it's based on a false premise of the ego. The ego just really wants more of everything and is never satisfied. We have been rocking into the fourth dimension of existence, right? So we're talking here about the material plane. They're talking about going above that. Also, we have on page 85, the sixth sense. So we're in all these senses every day. Go out and enjoy the world, but realize it's coming from the self and the ego, and that there's another way where you could just sit back and just relax. And we'll do step 10 promises before we finish. The great fact is this: nothing less, we have had deep and effective spiritual experiences which have revolutionized our whole attitude. It doesn't say here, go on a diet, go on this program, and it'll send you the food. It doesn't say. It's talking about revolutionizing our thinking. It's very possible. Again, you want the poisons, or do you want God's natural food? Next time you look at water, you'll have a different perception change after listening to this meeting. You know, I told you the story. My son came over once and years ago when he just wanted water. And I said, I got some cold water in the refrigerator. He says, no, he wanted warm water. And to this day, when he drinks water, it seems like he's happy and joyous in having the natural things. But no, we have all these coffee shops. We have all these crazy drinks, all of this crazy food, which they sell on TV. So either you want to be a prisoner or you want to have that perception change. You know, even people in prison, in solitary confinement, are freer than we are. A person in solitary confinement could be happy, but no, we could be on a yacht and be a billionaire and be unhappy and want to kill ourselves, right? So it's all the perception change. It's all in here. It's perception and bringing that higher consciousness in, which comes really from feeling in our heart, in our body, and the vibrations around us. But when we get selfishness, self-centeredness, we block out. It's called the sunlight of spirit. Our whole attitude towards life, towards our fellow, towards God's universe, our whole attitude towards people. When a person tries to get you upset, just look at them with love, patience, and tolerance. Get out of the self. When you're out of self, you like, you know, if you just found out you won the lottery and somebody came over and called your name, you wouldn't care. We won the lottery every day of our lives. We just down and thinking of the past or the future. No, you could let go. Get out of the self. Even your own death, you can accept that when you do this program. Behind spiritual programs and religions is getting out of the self. That's the basis of the whole thing. Entered into our hearts, in the heart, and lives in a way which is indeed miraculous. Believe me, this is true. He has accomplished those things which we could not do for ourselves. Again, last meeting I said, if you want to look for a job, you're going to try to do it from self-will. No, you get centered with God and you feel the universe around you. Go out and you'll talk to people, you go for interviews. You don't care if they reject you or not, because it doesn't come from self-esteem. Forget about self-esteem. I tried to get that. The word self is in there. It's God esteem, bringing a higher consciousness, which is in there all the time. There's no return from human aid. So quickly, we're just going to go to the 10-step promise on page 83. And it says there, 84 actually. And I'll just read this quickly, and then I want to hear from everybody else. Again, that's why I come to this meeting, to hear everybody else. And so here it says on the bottom of page 84, and this sums it all up, and this is where you should be at by this meeting at this point. We have ceased fighting anyone or anything. For this time, sanity has returned. Our perception has changed. We seldom would be interested in liquor or food. If we tempted, we recoil from a hot flame. The reason we can recoil is we have a better way. Before, that was our whole thing. We couldn't stay away. But we have this higher consciousness. And it goes on to say, we react sanely and normally. How insane is it to eat all of this crazy food or drink? I used to drink alcohol, vodka all day long, quarts of it. We will find that this will happen automatically. We see that our new attitude towards liquor has given us without any thought or effort on our part. We're no miserable. Again, 95% of diets fail. The 5% who stay with it through a diet are miserable, very miserable. We are not fighting it. Neither are we avoiding temptation. We have been placed in a position neutrality, safe and protected. And here's a really key one too. We have not sworn off. Right? Sworn off has to do with the ego. So I want to thank everybody coming to this meeting.